Thank you for allowing us to come in and talk about Blucher. Most of the conversation is going to be centered around Blucher, and then we'll touch upon Orion later on, time permitting. My name is Patrick Daly, and I work for Vernon Bitzer, and John Farina is our new sales associate for the outside for this area. So, previous to John coming on board, it was kind of me and Dick Filer, touching base, and we just realized that we quickly just couldn't handle the territory and service you guys, so we needed to get somebody out here full time. So John is our new sales associate. He's got 25 plus years of experience in the plumbing industry. He's very familiar with Blucher and Orion in particular, so there'll be no kind of interruption on that, and he's learning most of the backflow and the rest of the lines as we speak now. But he's been associated with one of these product lines in the past, so it shouldn't really be an issue, and you're going to see him more than myself and Dick, just because he can be out here. And it was just, I'm from Philly, and it was just tough getting out here on a regular basis, so we had to make a decision. We're happy to have him on board. So to quickly go over the lines, I put a line card on everyone's desk. And we'll go over this real quickly. AGS is a utility control shutoff. Typically where you see AGS, American Gas Safety, is in the labs and kitchens for utility control for gas proving, and in the labs, typically in science, teacher's room, instructor, knockoff, shutoff for electric, water, and typically gas, Bunsen burners and stuff like that. Just recently, interesting enough though, we have a whole boiler room application where you have a utility control shutoff that's becoming more and more popular, from a safety device. And also hospitality, like the new True Hotel, if they put up a barbecue pit or a fire pit, the owners don't usually want that being operated out at a certain hours of operation, so they can control it behind their desk. Or they have a kind of a twist turn that it only lasts for 45 minutes out there in the public use. So it's a safety device, American Gas Safety. Chicago faucets, all the commercial faucets, sensor operated faucets, and manual faucets. Blucher, which we're going to talk today about, is the stainless steel pipe, floor drains, shower drains for commercial, industrial, housing, marine applications. Dormont is all the flexible stainless steel gas lines, typically a wide range for liquid and gases that hook up to your stove and your equipment. Filtrine is filling stations, designer fountains, filters, purifiers, and chillers. McGuire is a new line for us. We just picked that up a couple months ago, and that's all high quality commercial grade plumbing fixture and trim, so stops, strainers, traps, etc. Powers, which is all of our digital mixing valves. Again, that's an opportunity for you guys, especially on the aftermarket, with the digital mixing. We have a whole line of digital mixing that can control domestic water, less plus or minus 2 degrees from the set point, and can be tied back into a BAS system. If there's any opportunities on that, please let us know. I know we did a lunch presentation on that about this time last year. Stream is a lifetime guaranteed oil separators, solid interceptors, and chemical waste products. And then obviously our big behemoth is the Watts backflow prevention, PRVs, ball valves, etc. on the Watts line. Ames is backflow preventers, and Watts and Ames are owned by Watts. Typically, traditionally, Ames is in the fire side of the business and Watts is in the plumbing side of the business, and they kind of interchange now. Watts rain cycle, I don't know for the sales guys, if you guys and girls get involved with any aftermarket type rainwater collection systems, this is fantastic. Where a lot of people are starting to look at this are people are using a lot of water process places when they want to capture water and reuse it. We have a whole rain cycle division. We actually have an architect on staff that helps with the design. All he asks for, that's typically in bid spec work, but if you guys run into something, we can certainly help lay it out. All he asks for is time and information, and believe it or not, those things are tough to come by some days. Hot box is all the enclosures for the backflow, heated enclosures, custom, anything you can think that you need to heat a backflow or store backflow. The hot box is we can help you with. Orion is the acid waste and high purity piping systems. Shear is a lifetime guaranteed grease interceptors, and then of course Watts drainage, which is all the cast iron specification drains, carriers, and drain specialty product. Most of this stuff we're carrying at our shop in Warminster, but then and then it just comes from the the manufacturers.
Even the Orion?
The Orion. We stock Orion up to 6-inch with all of the different fittings. So 6-inch, and then the Blucher we're stocking right now 3 and 4-inch. So we'll start on Blucher, and the whole point is I want this to kind of be interactive, so stop and ask questions along the way. It gets boring when I'm just kind of reading off of this teleprompter here, but the Watts overview, our mission is to improve comfort, safety, and quality of life for people around the world through our expertise in a wide range of water technologies, to be the best in the eyes of our associates, customers, and shareholders. Some of the brands that Watts owns, some of them we don't represent, but most of them we do. We're here to talk about the Blucher line. So today's objectives: upon successfully completion of this lunch and learn, you'll understand the advantages of stainless steel for specific drainage applications, the benefits of Blucher pipe, drains, and channels, and the key advantage of Hygienic Pro for systems for Blucher. And in particular, we want to talk and identify opportunities for this new Hygienic Pro, typically food and beverage, especially right now, any kind of beer manufacturing facility. Hygienic Pro is the way to go. So we have a little sample of it on the table, and we'll go over that. Does anybody chase the beverage and the manufacturing?
Yeah. We all should be.
Yeah. Okay. So common drainage material for food and beverage and commercial kitchen applications, we see PVC, CPVC, cast iron, and stainless steel. And all of them have their advantages and disadvantages. But they have, for example, the PVC and CPVC, they have limitations, especially in the commercial application. PVC limitations should not be exposed to temperatures above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. They're susceptible when you're doing maintenance. They become soft and brittle. Rotting tools can pierce through bends and turns. They have a high level of thermal expansion, up to 20 times more than stainless steel, especially in the kitchen. The biggest issue that we run across in any kind of commercial application, industrial application, is it's flammable, and it's not safe for the environment. And the firemen will not go into a building, or they try to limit their exposure without breathing apparatus. Lifetime is reduced by half for each 50-degree increase in water temperature, and we know if you guys are calling on these industrial plants, it's typically higher than 140-degree water that they're using. And it starts to soften at 33% of the melting temperature. So there's just limitations to using PVC. It has its applications in residential applications, and that's typically where you're going to see it. CPVC limitations: a mild iconic detergent solution is recommended to remove incompatible oils and chemicals. You can't use this in a lot of food and beverage areas. It should not be used to connect the dishwasher drain to the sanitary drain due to incompatible. The problem is when you get the foods and the oils, it just starts to break down the product itself, and you just can't use it. And when installed in kitchen areas, the pipe must be protected from contact with grease and cooking oils. It just eats right through it. So, especially if you're dealing with any kind of fats, oils, or solids, you can't use CPVZ. The biggest thing that we're starting to run into on the waste pipe is the cast iron. And are you guys is anybody familiar with the Blucher product?
Blucher, I've heard of it.
Yeah. What we're seeing here is, especially in the older cities, you're starting to see the drying out of buildings. The water reduction in the older buildings is not a friend for the building itself. When you reduce the reduction of water on cast iron, the pipe starts to crown because the water doesn't fill up the pipe, right? And the waste doesn't fill up the pipe. And in most cases, the waste starts to get stuck in the pipe. That off-gassing of the waste that just sits in that pipe without the water washing it away starts to corrode the top of the pipe. And what we see is a lot of crowning of pipe. So corrosion is its biggest issue, an attack on material due to chemical and electrochemical reaction within the surrounding medium. And typically it's just, excuse my language, but shit in the pipe that just is off-gassing and you just don't got enough water pushing it through. So air is not its friend anymore, right? So what you're looking to replace it with alloys with chromium content of 12 to 13% or above that have a high passivity and will not rust in ordinary air and fresh water. We're starting to see this in all the older cities. These stacks are just, especially when they reduce the water, are just starting to corrode. And now they have to figure out another alternative because they just don't have enough water going through them. And that's where we're seeing a lot of our big wins is in the old cities, old buildings. So cast iron has limitations when high temperature are present. They just become brittle. Cast iron piping can resist temperatures to about 230 degrees Fahrenheit for only short periods. And we've seen this new pipe that comes out that has an epoxy coating on it. The challenge with the epoxy coating are a couple things. It's the same thing as cast iron, it just has an epoxy coating on it. And one of the benefits of using stainless steel, and in particular Blucher, is that this product, a 10-foot stick, is only about 17 pounds, right? A 10-foot stick of cast iron is about 78 pounds. So just from a handling perspective, it's easier on the body, it's easier on movement. But when you so one of the advents we see that the cast iron guys have come up with is to, okay, we're gonna put an epoxy coating on the inside. It's not gonna rot out. The challenge with that is how do you get the epoxy in the inside efficiently, and more importantly, when you cut it, how do you cure it when you're installing it? And so those are some of the challenges, and most importantly, it just becomes a labor issue with the weight of cast iron. So there, people, especially contractors, are looking for easier ways to install as we get a shrinking labor force, and we're all asked to do more with less. This is one way to kind of handle it, is start to push them towards a Blucher line where it's easier to handle. Any questions on this? So what we say is the answer to the drains and to the pipe is the answer is stainless steel. And what you're looking for, a steel alloy with a minimum of 12% chromium content by mass. And what that means is the product itself. Actually, Blucher is made out of a 17% alloy. And the benefit of that, it has these are called CRSs, also called corrosion resistant steel. And it has a high degree of passivity. It will not rust in ordinary air and water. What happens is, as we make this, and it has a high content 17% alloy, and it's dipped in an acid pickling. And if you look at this, it doesn't look like traditional stainless that you would see that's all
Right.
shiny, right? The benefit of this is it's a self-healing property when you acid pickle it and you use the 17% alloy. If you were to scratch this over time with air, or water, it just self-repairs itself. The benefit of that is, what happens when you scratch cast iron? It turns to rust, right? It starts to rust out, and that's when the degradation of the pipe comes. The benefit of a stainless steel alloy is that it's self-repairing, and so we see that it's just a product that when you start to install it, we say that typical lifespan of a Blucher pipe is about 76 years. We're starting to see, and we see, especially on the cast iron, we see a lot of stories that it's being installed, and within 4 to 6 years they're ripping it out in a lot of the older buildings. Newer buildings, if you're designing a newer building and you're addressing all of the water reduction issues, I'm still of the opinion that it may last longer. We just don't know. We're seeing a lot of the cast iron that's coming through was not as it used to be manufactured, especially a lot of the import stuff that we see. Any questions so far? So a little bit about Blucher. Blucher designs, manufactures, and markets stainless steel drainage systems. They are founded in Denmark in 1965. Watts bought them about 10 plus years ago. They're stainless steel drainage for indoor and marine applications, and they own and operate in a 180,000 square foot production and warehouse in Denmark. Just recently, we just opened up a manufacturing facility in Dallas, Texas, just outside of Dallas, Texas as well. In Europe, they're about 100 million in sales, and that's all they use in the EU is stainless waste. Over here, it's about a $20 million market, and most of our stuff is done in the food and beverage processing area, industrial plants, and shipbuilding. Shipbuilding is huge for us because of the biggest challenge in a shipbuilding is two things: fire, flammability, right, and then weight. So this is non-flammable and it's less weight. So in particular, ships can't use the PVC or the CPVC because of the off-gassing of the chemical, and just it will melt and burn. So we have a huge influx of opportunities in the shipbuilding area around the Philadelphia market. Not much out this way, but so that's what. So Watts decided just to make sure that we could really attack the U.S. market. They just opened up a new facility in Dallas, Texas, and where we make Blucher drains, the channels, and the pipe. So all of the different locations that we have product in and and the typical applications are commercial. So we're starting to see offices, hotels, hospitals. Really, in particular, hospitals is sweet for that vertical. Is really hospitals and supermarkets are really starting to take off. Commercial kitchens, fitness and sports, and airports. Industrial. Like I said, we've owned the food and beverage and the food processing and pharmaceutical areas for a long time. And then the cruise liners on the marine side of the business. Where do you guys concentrate the most? Industrial?
Industrial, yeah.
So it would be food and beverage and pharmaceutical and chemical and biotech.
I don't know, Jim, I think I need to take a cruise so I can check this stuff out.
I'll go with you.
Okay.
You gotta sell it though.
Yeah.
Be a guaranteed sale.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing because they, part of it is it can be used with the vacuum systems too. So they use it, through the vacuum waste on the, like you get into an airport or when you get into a cruise. So The stainless steel, it's a complete line of stainless steel pipe and fittings. It's lightweight, durable, and easy to install. Available in 10 metric equivalents, so basically 1 1/2 inch to 12 inch. Right now, again, Vernon Bitzer stocking 3 and 4 inch, and the reason we're stocking 3 and 4 inches is because we started to see a nice demand for the stack repairs and replacements.
What would they use the 12-inch for? That's huge.
Well, I mean, you have a lot of different applications for waste when you get into these bigger pipe processing plants and stuff like that, and food processing. So that's where you'd see that. Now we stock all of that pipe in North Carolina, which is where the DC is. So they have truckloads and truckloads of pipe. So we're typically from here. If we don't have it in stock, it's typically going to be about a 2-day shipping lane from North Carolina. The Hygienic Pro is designed for use in food processing, beverage production, pharmaceutical, and other industries where hygienic conditions are critical. It's a pointed drains and channels, and we'll go over that in a little bit. And then the Blucher drain, which is very similar to Hygienic Pro. It's light to heavy duty drains for use in all types of floors. No burrs or sharp edges and no corners or cavities inside the drain. Gravity available for any load class. So, you know, we have weight load grates that can carry most anything. Sediment baskets, sand and bucket to catch debris, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then Blucher channel, which is typically you'll see in the showers. So let's talk about the pipe and how that goes. So all of our pipe here, what you see is designed in type 316. And it's designed for wastewater, rainwater drainage, and black and gray water sanitary discharge for systems on board, and also it can be used for a vacuum system. It's non-combustible, has a long product life expectancy, it's quick installation and easy maintenance, different joining methods, and the way you cut this, just like traditional copper, you can cut it like, you know, you can have a bandsaw, or you can just have a cutting ring, or we have machines that cut it that we can sell or rent, and it has different sealing rings, which we'll go over, and then different joining clamp applications. But typically, what you see here is how this joins. It's just a push fitting. You'll take a soap lube with alcohol, and you just squirt it around, and you just push fit, and then it's going to dry, and it will not come apart. For example, this has been, that is joined with an O-ring, and you just can't break it. Once the sealing rings dry up, it's almost like a PVC if you got it, you know, or a plastic pipe. Once you glue it, you got to cut it out. The benefit of that is that it's real easy to put together. It's like an erector set.
Yeah, that's coming.
Sooner or later,
Yeah.
right?
How long does it take for that to dry out then, till you can use it then? Like after you assemble and everything?
So it depends on really how much lube you're using, but typically a couple hours is, it's going to be a set.
That's amazing, it just sticks in there and then
Yeah. Those seals, though, will continue to age over time, right?
They're not exposed. So
Okay.
when you see they're not exposed, they're concealed. So
Not to air or anything?
not to air.
It's almost like a lip
anything.
type
So-
seal in there too.
Yeah.
It's not like an air, it's like a lip type seal.
Yeah. So I might be jumping ahead, but we offer 3 different sealing. Typically you have an EDPM sealing ring. That goes standardly with all the pipe. If you're using high temperature, you're going to use the FPM, which is green. And then if you're using any kind of in the petrochemical area, you're going to use an MBR, which is designed for oils, for O-rings. And all they do is you slip those on, and the way you can tell that they're in properly is you just feel and push down if it's nice and solid. and flows with it, they're in right. When you put it in backwards, you can tell there's like a little lip there, and you would feel it, and it would be a rough fitting. So go ahead and pass that around.
Now you're supposed to mark the pipe first and then insert it, so you know you're in the whole
For
area.
your stab depth, is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Typically, you can't go any further.
Okay.
It will only let you go so far. But we do have, which we'll talk about, if you see this one, so traditionally this will, if you're using this pipe and you're looking for pressures, it's rated up to 7 psi, right? If you want to get higher, and it's non-pressure pipe, but that's, if you want to get rated higher, you can, what we call dimple and clamp. You can just clamp, or you can dimple and clamp. When you dimple and clamp, and I were to put that fitting in, and then put a clamp on it, right around the dimple, I get up to 44 psi on like a 4-inch piece of pipe. So you can get, you know, if you're concerned with stack back up on the pipe, this is, you can dimple it, and then that gives you a stab depth on the machine. You just measure the pipe, and that will not go past that bell,
Okay.
right? It's just right after that.
Okay.
So it's like, I mean, it really becomes a really easy system to use, and the contractor, you know, net, if we were pricing this out on the pipe versus cast iron, we're going to be about 3 to 3.5 times the price on cast iron, right? Where we win is on the labor savings and then just the ease of installation. So the advantages of Blucher pipe, it's long product lifetime. You know, they say 76 years is what typically you'll see. I mean, but they really just say it's for the life of the building. Little maintenance required, excellent flow capacities, really fire resistant, heat trace compatible, corrosion resistant, resistant to most chemicals, and hygienic. One of the biggest things is the biofilms that are growing within inside of the pipe. What they're finding, especially on the drainage side, when you're going with like a cast iron or something like that, is you're starting to see a lot of, especially in the food industry, you're starting to see a lot of airborne disease and typically listeria growth coming out of the pipes and the drainage. So it's sustainable. So what we mean by sustainable is that this can be recycled and reused. It's non-toxic and easy to clean. And it's just like you see, what you see is just pushing it together. Easy to install push fit system, classic elegant design. A lot of the designers like this because they'll put it out where you can see it, because it's just one of those kind of industrial nice looks. Blucher drainage products are made of stainless steel that is 18% chromium. I think I said 17. So the advantages of push fit: quick, easy installation, no specialized workers needed. Prefabricated fittings with drainage shape and smooth inside surfaces. Heat expansion and socket, no risk for thermal cracking. What they're saying is when you're welding, you're going to get susceptible to thermal cracking. All parts are leak tested. All welds, when we weld this in the shop, are made with protection gas inside and outside. What they're saying is this. I went over to the plant, and this is just it's a slow bend and weld, and then it goes to an acid pickling, and gives you a high resistance to any kind of scratching chemicals. And they're all dipped in a neutralized pickling bath, and that's the self-healing property. So we typically get compared to welding, and there's nothing wrong with welding, but as we're running into a labor shortage and really a skill shortage of workers. The disadvantage of welding and mechanical joining are skilled labor is required, it's time consuming, and it's expensive. You can still weld this pipe, just so you know, if anybody asks. It can be welded, you just got to take out You just gotta take out the O-rings, and it can be welded. And we've seen some areas where they want it welded, but typically in the marine application, they'll do some welding. But in the plant and industrial area, you're not gonna see much welding. It can be buried underneath the ground as well. Is there any questions on the pipe?
What, you have the, like the couplings and the pipe, and do you have like T's and all that as well, or?
Yeah, did we bring
Yes.
any tees?
No.
So, in your catalog, there's a whole section did you give them the price list? Price books?
No.
You give them everybody a price book?
Yeah, I just don't have enough for the next group, I think.
That's okay, we're more important than him anyhow.
Yeah.
That's why we were first.
That's right. That's second
So,
place.
so we're stocking all of this down at this, so you have all your T's, your Y's, your sweeps in
Okay.
3 and 4 inch. Also, you'll see, if somebody asks for a dual containment, we can do dual containment. Dual containment is essence pipe within pipe,
Right.
right? And there's a spider there, and then the fittings themselves would be custom made. That would be a lead time issue, but it just,
But you do that.
yeah, and that's becoming more and more popular. For healthcare in particular, there's a Facility Guidelines Institute of 2018. Any areas over a lab, a kitchen, or an OR now have to be dual containment. They don't say what material, so I don't want to say it has to be stainless steel. All they say is it has to be dual containment.
I've been doing a lot of the dual containment for the new hospital one.
Have you?
Yeah,
For the York Memorial?
for Memorial, yeah.
Okay. What are they using?
CPVC.
That's interesting. And are they doing that over the labs and the, okay. Are you doing that with McClure?
McClure.
Yeah, okay. Did we talk to them about the Orion dual containment as well? Back when the design,
I don't know if
Kinda
it was
kicked off.
spec that way, or I don't know.
yeah, okay. And we can do on the, right now, we stopped doing dual containment on Orion, because they're updating their dual containment spec, so they put it on product hold. So if you need it and you need a source, we can help you with it.
Well, I'm glad we have somewhere else to go for Orion, because
Yeah.
I hate dealing with
Those hangers are nice too, see that?
Who do you typically deal with?
Barbarian Klein.
They haven't been the Orion rep though in a long, long
Then
time.
who is it?
Yep. So we were the Orion, we just started repping Orion January 1st.
Okay, so
It was
whoever,
probably Robert Burns Associates.
that might have been.
Okay. So we'd be
I
glad to
know it
help.
was Barbarian Klein for a long time.
Yeah. When Orion got bought out about 10 years ago by Watts, and so did Blucher, they started to do a little bit of line consolidation. Vernon Bitzer has represented Watts in various capacities since the 30s, and so last year they officially kind of did a line consolidation with all the lines, and we picked up with the Blucher and the Orion and the drain side of the platform. So it's all under one roof now, under the Vernon Bitzer side of the business. But yeah, we can help you with that if there's any need on that.
So if I call up there and talk to Helen or somebody, they'll be able to help me with it?
Yeah, she will kick the Orion over to typically Darren or
Okay.
somebody else in the office, but start with Helen because she's awesome and she can kind of point you in the right direction. Or call John. One or the other, whatever's easier for you. Any questions on the pipe?
Does it need the special hangers, or could you use?
You can use standard
Hangers.
hangers
Okay.
if you want. I mean, we stock some of the hangers,
Right.
but you can use traditional hangers. You don't need to use Blucher hangers.
Okay.
They just, have a,
I was gonna say the cushioning in the hanger.
yeah, they just have a cushion in the hanger to, for vibration and noise.
Gotcha.
And I don't have a slide on it, but when we get asked a lot, and I should have had this, but we get asked a lot about the noise, and it's no more noisier than a
I never
standard
thought about that.
CPVC or PVC pipe. In fact, the decimal is lower. I just don't have the slide to show you, and I don't know off the top of my head. So Blucher drains. So the pipe is pretty easy. It's all 316 up to 12 inches. It's a push fit. You can dimple it if you're going up against, if you have like a transition where you got to go to from like cast. We have transition couplings. We have all the different Ys, Ts, sweeps. This is really nice. The contractors love this. It's just a clean out. And they like it because they can just get an Allen key to it and get it open. Instead of trying to get that clean screw out. It's just a push fitting, and depending on temperature and material, it's just the different O-rings that you're going to use. Pretty simple on the face of it. It's just people that, just getting comfortable with it. So Blucher drains, we have heavy duty floor drains for all floor types. We have adjustable, non-adjustable. We have gratings for all load classes. It's quick installation, easy maintenance, durable, hygienic, and strong. Just kind of goes through the different applications for industrial drains, for floor area drains, floor cleanouts. And one of the things, if you don't see it in the catalog, they're manufacturing anything. So if there's comes up with some kind of goofy application you need, it's just a matter of a phone call. I'm talking to John or somebody in the shop or me, and we can get the answer to it. So this is the one that I wanted you guys to really pay attention to, because I think from an ease, this is something that John can ride with you guys to facilities and kind of go over. And it's just a better mousetrap, if you will, on the Hygienic Pro. There is a catalog in front of you. It's a Hygienic Pro drains and channels, and we invented this and came out with this for food processing and beverage facilities. It's a very unique product in the sense that it's we give you different strainers and baskets to go into the unit for different products. And the benefit of that is it's production downtime reduced when you get the right strainer in the end for cleaning. It has easy and efficient for floor cleaning, and what I mean by this, if you look at this, this is one solid cast. Great. And if you look at that, there's no corners. Go ahead and pass that around.
Oh my God.
The benefit of that is, the concern is when you have corners or any kind of like any kind of corner or square, you have areas where, and if it's not rounded, areas for growth for potential bacteria. So all of the corners and everything is a solid seam cast up to, they come up to 4-foot channels. You can get up to 4 foot on the grate, but it's easy and efficient for floor cleaning. If you look, when we put this in compared to a regular channel, and this is how this thing ships. Imagine this, it comes with your floor covering, a piece of wood, and your channels, right? So when a mechanic is putting this in, everything's covered so it's not dropping into the channel and getting messed up. But what's really cool about this is when you show this to a floor guy and to a plumbing guy or just trying to install, these tabs, when you're putting into the cement, when they bend them down and tie downs, this, you can put your tie down here and you bend this down, they become almost like the roots of a tree to help with strength in cement, right? So it's a new way to give strength, but also underneath, one of the biggest things is the mechanic is always left to epoxy the channel in here. So this is a hermetically sealed epoxy that comes with the channel. What really the benefit of that is any kind of air pocket, any kind of crack, any kind of sharp corner starts to crack the cement or create an air pocket. and water get to and bacteria get to. And when they do a lot of the research on where all of the bacteria comes from food processing, it's typically somewhere around the drainage application. And this is where growth can happen. So all of this is done at the factory. Go ahead and pass that around.
Hey Matt, you wanna take a look at it first?
But one of the biggest benefits is if most channel drains just kind of drop and all of the material stays on the sidewalls. The benefit of a Hygienic Pro is it's designed where it's a V shape. So none of the material, none of like, if you were talking about like barley or oats or anything that's being washed down into the drain and being caught, all of it goes into the drain channel. And the benefit for it, especially in the food processing and beer making, is that they use less water washing down the drains. And they can save a ton of money on just water usage from a drain application. Again, rounded corners reduce risk of deterioration risk. If you look at that, most drains have a square application. When you put that into the cement, that's where you see a lot of cracking and deterioration at the corners. So all of the Hygienic Pro is rounded, and that's a small sample of it. The other benefit of that product, again, is I wanted to show something on the keyways. So if the plumber puts this in, and then the floor guy, they pour the cement, they keep these channels, these keyways on. When they go to put the epoxy on, what this does, it gives you a nice consistent keyway. So the floor guy, the epoxy can just come right up to the epoxy when he takes those off, and he doesn't have, and it becomes a nice straight line. So when the mechanic and the floor guy see this together, it really helps them. Just gives you that nice little, you keep that on, you would pour the cement, and then the epoxy guy comes in, takes that off, and gives you that nice little separation right there where it can go right up to the channel. So this keyways are really a nice advantage. And then everything would just ship like this. And you can get those runs up to 18 feet. One solid piece up to 18 feet. Can you do me a favor and put that up?
Sorry.
So Blucher channels, linear drainage and kitchen channels for hygiene sensitive areas and heavy loads. For any floor construction, standardized or custom, range of gratings for all applications and easy to clean. So we just need to know the load class for what equipment's going over it. But typically this is gonna, if you're using Hygienic Pro, it's all forklift rated, and this is what you're getting: one cast, one piece, 4 feet. Blucher waterline is this is becoming I don't know if you guys chase this, but it's becoming a bigger and bigger application for the showers, hospitals, and such, where you have just the shower channel, shallow, one system put in, and it's just aesthetically pleasing that the architects really like. Can be used in vinyl sheeting or can be used in tile. Low profile channels installed above the subfloor. Design, especially with tiles and vinyl, it's just becoming a bigger and bigger application. I'm not sure if you guys chase that type of work or not, but I just wanted you to know that we have it. On the Hygienic Pro, are there any kind of questions on the Hygienic Pro? Any questions on the pipe itself?
Interesting with that.
Yeah, need to find some new work.
Is there any applications that you think you need our help with on this?
Not immediately, no.
We're seeing a bunch of drains in food processing plants that are old cast iron, rusted out, busted up, you know. And until they have an issue, then they
They're
come
not gonna
to
do
us
anything.
and say, hey,
Right.
you know, we've seen them installed wrong, the wrong kinds put in, tumors drive over them, they flex, they break grates and everything, so. There's a lot of applications out there for it. I mean, just there's a lot of food processing we walk in. You know, we're seeing some new stainless put in, but most of the food processing is all cast iron stuff now. The trench drain and everything, it's just all what we're seeing, yeah.
In new stuff? Or
No,
there's-
the old stuff.
Yeah, the old stuff
Yeah,
is
the old
all
stuff,
cast.
It's all, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where we're
Yeah.
starting to see, even when we go to these beverage places, you know, like the beer they're still using,
Well, the drains are horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they just,
they just get crushed.
yeah,
And then you see the floor, and then within 6 months, they're ripping them up and replacing them. And with that, they're being used every day, and they got a lot of equipment going over them, and a lot of stuff dumping down into them. This is, we have calculations where we could save them just the initial in-cost versus water. We have a kind of a calculator on the website where they can kind of do their own calculation and figure what water costs they save. It actually pays for the channel itself typically,
Right.
in most applications.
Do one of you guys call on Hershey, Hershey Foods or Hershey Chocolates and?
that calls on the
They call on
YNS.
the YNS facility.
Yeah,
over
Tim,
there.
next,
Centerville.
next meeting,
Yeah,
Tim
okay.
calls on
Yeah.
Hershey,
Okay.
Hershey.
Hershey, the Next Century facility used Blucher, so you could
Yeah.
get all stainless steel drains in
Okay.
there. Wegmans is another big user of Blucher. The new Wegmans in Lancaster's got
Yeah.
Blucher.
Does it?
Yeah.
All Wegmans are standardized.
They
on Blucher.
standardize, yeah.
Also have a ton of people there.
Because there's one coming up in Carlisle now, right? That's the
nice.
next one that's coming up.
Wegmans.
That place is amazing.
I'm walking in there the other day, and I went, what the hell's wrong with me? Like a crowd of people going into a grocery store. Why don't I ever have other people walking into a grocery store at the same time?
I've been there like
Go
last.
alive.
I probably
2
eat
weeks
lunch
in a
at
row.
Wegmans more than any other place on the road.
Yeah.
I'm always stopping in there to eat lunch
Yeah.
because they have hot bar, they got
Right.
salad bar, they got nice food, you know,
It's the
nice
best,
area to sit down.
business.
best grocery store ever.
Yeah.
My,
I
My,
drive 30
uh,
minutes to get to.
my sister and brother-in-law do date nights at Wegmans.
Oh my God.
I guess they got everything there.
I do.
So, real quick, we are the Orion guys, and it's electrofusion, butt weld, or mechanical joint, acid waste. Typically, there's three different pipes on it. You have your blue line, what we call blue line, which typically is going to be, you know, from the laboratory sink for acid waste or anything. And then if you have to go through a plenum, you have what we call the white line, plenum rated pipe, back to blue line, where you don't have to go through a plenum. And then if you can go underneath, we do have a brown line that nobody really ever uses because we stock blue line and nobody wants to wait for the brown line. But brown line is traditionally underground, non-fire retardant pipe. So all of this, we're carrying up to 6. We have up to 6 inch in stock at the shop, and then depending on when we get back into our dual containment, we should have dual containment coming out again. They just put it on product hold. We have the machines at the shop where we rent. The machines are all electrofusion. The benefit of the machines is when you do a weld, typically depending on pipe, you just mark the weld joint. And the machine has a UBS memory stick where if you ever have a failed joint for whatever reason, you can kind of go back and try to trace what number it was. All the catalogs are there. We're kind of running out of time on that. Is there any kind of questions on the Orion side that outside of that? I know you guys use it. Typically, it's specified, product. I don't know if it's something that you guys make recommendations on. We can help you with any kind of application that you need on Orion.
Maybe we sold in the past with the mechanical joints. I think that's what we sold in the past. Some of the hospitals used that before. The no hub plain end stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's years ago.
So we have those, you know, and you can join them either mechanical joint or you electro, you weld it. And then we also have the grooving tools in stock as well, depending on how you're joining it.
So there's like a metal banding in there?
So it's a coil that's
Yeah.
in there, and most of our competitors do a single coil.
Okay.
The difference between the Orion system and everybody else's system is that is a coil that's all the way through.
Gotcha.
So that's what, it just welds the pipe together. And then you just keep it on that timing, depending on the size of the pipe, you put your leads on, and you have your machine.
Is that what this is?
That's the leads, right?
Okay.
And so you plug it in, you have to have clean power,
Okay.
and that's a big issue at the job site, because they're running like 5 chop saws off of the
Yeah.
thing, and then they can't get the right. So they have to have clean power. You just put the electric, the cords on there, and you cook it, and it will tell you when time's up. It just beeps.
Huh.
So depending on the pipe, you're gonna input it into the system. So you're just gonna say 4-inch pipe. It's gonna give you a 2-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute weld time, and it's gonna beep and tell you it's done.
Gotcha.
Right? And then it's gonna come out with weld number 1. So you put on the pipe weld number 1, and then you go all the way through the system. That's the best way to do it.
Okay.
You can recook those fittings, though. Most of our competitors, you can't reuse their fittings.
Really?
Yeah.
You can also do up to 3 at a time. You can cook 3
Okay.
couplings at the same time
Okay.
with the machine.
Have you gotten involved in any of that?
No. 'Cause a lot of times the fusion tools, they have a tool for every size. Gotta have this size, this size, this
Yeah.
size, but there, I guess the same machine does
It
different
does,
sizes. You just
yeah.
hook up to the
Yeah.
probes there and you're.
You don't need any, it's just a
You don't
probe.
remember what size it is. Probably takes different time for larger sizes, I would guess. You just.
It's all
program
about
it in.
time, and there's a sheet,
Yeah.
you know, and it will tell you once you put it in how long, and it will beep once the cooking's done.
In the Orion line is another type of pipe that does use what you're talking about with, it's that tool that
Thank you.
it's a handheld and you need to know the sizes, but that's a different style pipe.
That's
This is-
socket
that's-
weld.
yeah.
Typically, socket weld's done on the polypropylene,
Right.
the RO side, which is the white
Okay,
pipe, the
right.
clear white pipe, which we have up to 2-inch.
So what material is this then?
That's a polypropylene.
Yeah.
Polypropylene, okay.
Yeah, and the benefit of the polypropylene, it's, you know, non-flame, it's a flame retardant.
Retardant,
Yeah, yeah. And that's the big thing, that's the concern if they're using CPVC in the hospital, if it ever catches on fire, the challenge of CPVC is the off-gassing. The weight of the chemical is heavier than the oxygen, and it just you know, we're always taught as kids to stop, drop, and roll and get out. The challenge with the CPVC is if you do that, that's exactly where all of the chemicals are going. So you can be overcome like that. That's what I'm shocked that they're using a CPVC on that. It's just from a health concern, it's absolutely a challenge. Then that's why the polypropylene is kind of the product of choice on acid waste.
And there's also acid neutralization tanks in the Orion line, so different styles and sizes.
And that's it.
You gonna buy a bunch of that stuff and play with it?
What's that?
Well, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.